Hi, this is Derek DeCosta, the author of The Moonlight King. This is a true story about a modern-day slave finding his freedom both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It is a chronicle story about a privileged young boy that is suddenly enslaved into an unknown prison, and how I found my freedom through many levels and many years and many lessons. This story is to help inspire others find freedom within their own lives, whether it be physically, emotionally, or spiritually. Following are excerpts from radio interviews discussing my philosophy and the principles behind the Moonlight King. I hope that you enjoy these interviews, and for further information or to contact us, please find us at themoonlightking.com or friend us on Facebook at The Moonlight King.
Ladies and gentlemen, a young man who is filled with so many wise thoughts at his young age and who had to undergo many challenges from a young age. Why? Well, that's what we're going to talk about as we find out about his inspiring story. My special guest, Derek DeCosta, author of The Moonlight King and the true story of a modern-day fight for freedom. Your life is an inspiration when you take a look at the picture of it in the larger sense. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my life began in South Korea. I was born in Seoul, Korea, and I lived there till about 6.5 years old, where I had a very privileged life, and it was very comfortable, and my parents took care of me, my sister, my aunts. And I was the firstborn son of my family, which was a pretty high rank to have when you're in Korea. And so I had this very privileged life where I was spoiled, rotten, basically. And then I was put up for adoption because of a divorce that my parents had, and at the time, in 1975 Korea, people didn't get divorced, or you didn't talk about it. And so as a result, they wanted to kind of get rid of the evidence, and so we were sent up for adoption. And we were the first generation of Koreans to be adopted to America into single-parent homes. I was 6.5 when I arrived at this country, and I stayed in that situation at that home until I was about 14 years old. And I finally found the courage to leave and to escape that particular situation. And it was a magical day for me where I had the courage to stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore.
What was the situation like in that home?
Well, I mean, basically anything and everything that you can imagine that would happen that would be negative to a human being was happening.
What inspired you to actually write the book, and what is the message you want readers to take away from The Moonlight King, Derek?
Well, let's first go over the title, The Moonlight King. The title kind of tells you in itself what I want the message to be. The Moonlight King represents, for me, the moonlight was the constant thing that I knew as a child. Coming from Korea, I saw the full moon. I came at Logan Airport, I saw the full moon. And for many, many years, I used the full moon as a conduit to speak to my mother at the time in Korea. Later in life, I used the full moon as a way of getting certainty, because it was the one constant thing I could count on all the time in many uncertain times. The king part comes as in, I think everybody in their own right is a king or a queen of your own universe. Okay? I believe that we are not here to be oppressed by ourselves or by other people, emotionally or otherwise. We have to have the freedom that we're looking for, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. And everybody that feels restricted in life feels pushed down in some way, shape, or form by one of those three means. And they usually blame somebody else, like, you know, if it wasn't for my boss, or if it wasn't for my parents, or if it wasn't for this and so on and so forth. In reality, it's you. You've got to free yourself. In my opinion, the keys to life is reading books. Read books. The more books you read, the more your universe expands, the more references you have in your brain to solve challenges with. If you don't read books, you only have so many ways you can answer problems with. And what happens all the time is then you answer the problems with the same solutions, and you bang your head against the door wondering why it doesn't open. So I'm telling you, the secret to life is that somebody else in the past has solved your problem. There's a book about it. Find the book, read the book, do the same thing, and your problems are solved.
What will people find in the Moonlight King that can do just that for them?
Well, I speak about a specific process, step-by-step process, and one of the things I talk about is the habits of heroes, and I've done this my whole life. I didn't grow up with traditional mother and father and the family that some people have. So I had to find father figures or mother figures to give me some guidance whether or not they knew it at the time. You know, I would adopt them secretly whether they knew it or not. And so I would look to them to find out what their habits were for success, if I consider them a success. And success doesn't mean necessarily money, because that doesn't always equal happiness. But I think success is happiness and a purpose and a passion for yourself. So there's certain people that I write about in the book who I found those qualities in. And then I would ask them by being around them and having conversations like, what do you do during the day? And we talked about this earlier too. What are your rituals, sir or ma'am, that you do every day that makes you so happy? And the rituals are so important, because just like you brush your teeth and comb your hair, you wouldn't not do certain things, and so as a result your day goes a specific way. So I think if we just include specific rituals that will make us happier and grateful, okay, and passionate, and you start your day that way, then the rest of the day goes that way. And you have luck all the time, and in my opinion luck is labor under controlled knowledge, and that means that if you're prepared, then when you meet the opportunity, then you get lucky. So preparedness just really is your daily habits. Beyond reading is make sure that you find a great team to surround yourself with. Because in my opinion, the people that affect you with your emotions have influence over you over your whole life. So those are your parents or your friends or your coworkers or people that you hang out with and socialize with. These people have incredible impact on you. So you've got to be very careful about who you let influence you, subconsciously or consciously. So I make sure that my team members are the best of the best as far as the people in the world with passion and purpose and kindness and generosity. And as a result, my team's constantly evolving. Some members I have, like a mutual friend of ours, Carol, I've known her for 16 years. Other people have been in my life for just about a year. But I get the benefit of changing my team members and getting a new draft every year, and I'm hoping that you're going to be a part of my team, Phil.
Absolutely. Okay? I already am. My soul is already surrounding you, Derek.
So just that idea alone, you know, and I talk to people about this, and I go, you know, your family, and they go, oh, and they go, I don't like this member of my family or that member. Well, just because they have the same DNA and the address and the blood type doesn't mean they have to be a part of your team.
So many people just repeat what they read or what they hear, and they believe that that is truth for them.
They do believe that that's their lot in life, and I thought that way for many, many years as well, because the people in my life, early in my life, told me that I was not going to be anything, I wasn't worth anything, and I was this and that. All these negative, bombastic rituals every single day to grow our spirituality and to grow our belief in ourselves and our passion in ourselves. Why don't we make sure that we have a certain ritual on a daily basis that we don't rely on other people to give us? Because people think, well, that person's really lucky. People must think that you're the luckiest guy in the world because you're so happy and people love you. Well, it's not luck, it's a pattern of behavior. I walked in, you gave me a big hug, now I feel better, right? So you started a pattern for me. I might start hugging everybody that I meet now, you know, because it felt great.
Derek DeCosta, author of The Moonlight King, the true story of a modern-day fight for freedom, along with Yoon Sang-kyun.
That is my name in Korean. That is my birth name. And so I put that down because for a long time I refused to acknowledge that name because I felt very disgruntled and abandoned by my Korean family. But now I believe that absolutely you have to acknowledge every facet of your past because it is a part of who you are today. And so today the Moonlight King is a merging of the Yoon Sang-kyun, my Korean identity, with Derek DeCosta, my American identity, and those two have come together now to become the complete man.